Listen to me, weakness isn't something you're born with. It's something you accept. Something you allow to take root in your life. Weakness isn't something that just happens to you. It's not some curse you were born with. And it's not a life sentence you can't escape. Weakness is a habit, a repeated decision, a pattern of thought that you've allowed to take root in your life. It's not forced upon you, it's something you permit, something you let grow by the choices you make every single day. And that's the hard truth most people don't want to face. They want to believe that weakness is an outside force, something that came from their circumstances, their upbringing, their genetics. But the reality is, weakness is a behavior you reinforce every time you choose comfort over challenge, every time you let fear dictate your actions, every time you make an excuse instead of taking responsibility. It starts small. You tell yourself it's just one more time hitting snooze, just one missed workout, just one day where you don't push yourself. It doesn't feel like a big deal in the moment, but what you don't realize is that every single time you choose the easy path, you're wiring your brain to accept weakness. You're training yourself to back down, to quit, to avoid discomfort. And over time, that becomes your default setting. It becomes who you are not because you were born that way, but because you built yourself that way, one choice at a time. Most people don't even see it happening. They blame the world, their past, their environment. They say, I'm just not strong enough, or that's just the way I am. But that's a lie. Nobody is born weak. Nobody is born lacking discipline, lacking drive, lacking power. Those things aren't missing, they're just buried under years of choosing comfort over growth, excuses over effort, fear over action. And that means if you can build weakness, you can also destroy it. If you've trained yourself to settle, you can train yourself to rise. But the first step is owning the fact that it's a choice. Because if it's a choice, that means you can change it. Think about it, everything you've ever overcome in your life you did because you made a decision. You reached a breaking point where you said enough. Maybe it was a bad relationship. Maybe it was a job that drained you. Maybe it was a moment where you finally got sick of your own excuses. Whatever it was, you made a choice to change. And that's the same choice you have right now. Do you keep feeding weakness, or do you kill it? The problem is, most people don't even realize how often they choose weakness. It's in the little things, the way they let their emotions dictate their actions, the way they justify skipping the hard work, the way they convince themselves that they're just not capable. But here's what you need to understand, weakness is always the easier option. It's always the path of least resistance. That's why people fall into it so easily, because choosing strength, that takes effort. That takes pushing through when you don't feel like it, when it hurts, when every part of you wants to stop. And that's exactly why most people never do it. It's not that they don't have the ability. It's not that they're not capable of being strong, disciplined, and unstoppable. It's that they've trained themselves to avoid the discomfort that comes with growth. But here's the thing, discomfort is the price of power. You don't get to be strong without struggle. You don't get to be great without grinding through the hard days. You don't get to rise without first choosing to stop sinking. And that choice, it's always yours to make. There's a moment in every person's life where they have to decide what kind of story they're going to write for themselves. Do they keep playing the role of the victim, the person who just isn't strong enough, the person who was dealt a bad hand? Or do they take full responsibility for their life and rewrite the script? That moment is where everything changes. Because once you recognize that you've been choosing weakness, you no longer have an excuse to stay there. You either decide to change, or you admit that you're okay with being weak. And here's the brutal truth, if you don't make the choice to change, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to hand you strength. Nobody's going to do the work for you. The world will keep moving forward, and you'll either rise with it or you'll stay exactly where you are. But at the end of the day, the only thing that separates the weak from the strong, the successful from the stuck, the winners from the quitters, it's not talent, not luck, not circumstances. It's a decision, a choice that gets made every single day, and that choice is in your hands. Your mind is the battlefield where every fight is won or lost before it even begins. The way you think, the way you process challenges, the way you react to setbacks, all of it determines whether you stay weak or rise into power. Most people don't realize that weakness starts in the mind long before it shows up in their actions. They think it's about physical strength, external circumstances, or what life throws at them. But the truth is, every outcome in your life is decided first in your head. Your beliefs shape your actions shape your habits, and your habits shape your results. If you believe you're weak, you will act weak. If you tell yourself you're not capable, you will never push hard enough to prove yourself wrong. The problem is most people let their minds run on autopilot. They never take control of their thoughts, never challenge their own limiting beliefs, never question the stories they've been telling themselves for years. They absorb negativity, doubt, and fear without realizing that every thought they accept is programming them for either weakness or strength. And the ones who stay weak, they let their minds run wild with fear, excuses, and self-pity. They allow doubt to take up space in their heads. They let fear dictate their choices. They believe the lies that say they're not good enough, not strong enough, not built for success. But the ones who rise, they take full control of their minds. They don't let fear make their decisions. They don't allow doubt to steer their actions. They don't entertain weakness even in their thoughts. Every single day you are feeding your mind with something. The question is, are you feeding it with thoughts that make you stronger or thoughts that keep you small? Most people fill their minds with distractions, negativity, and self-imposed limits. They let the world convince them that they can't do something before they've even tried. They let their past failures define their future potential. They listen to voices, both their own and others, that reinforce their doubts instead of challenging them. But the ones who choose power, they guard their minds like a fortress. They refuse to let negativity take root. They challenge every limiting belief. They replace weak thoughts with strong ones. They train themselves to think like winners long before they ever see the results. Your emotions are a product of your thoughts. When you allow weak thinking, weak emotions follow. Fear, hesitation, laziness, and insecurity are not just random feelings that show up out of nowhere. They are direct results of the thoughts you allow to dominate your mind. If you constantly tell yourself that something is too hard, you will feel overwhelmed before you even begin. If you constantly focus on what might go wrong, fear will paralyze you before you take action. If you constantly dwell on past failures, you will create anxiety about your future. But if you train your mind to focus on strength, action, and solutions, your emotions will follow that same path. The people who operate at the highest level don't have some magic ability to silence fear forever. They don't wake up every day free of doubt. The difference is, they don't let those thoughts control them. They don't allow fear to dictate their actions. They don't negotiate with weakness. The second a thought of doubt creeps in, they shut it down. The second they feel hesitation, they take action. The second fear tries to slow them down, they push forward even harder. This is not about being fearless, it's about mastering fear. It's not about avoiding discomfort, it's about leaning into it. And it all starts with the way you think. Most people wait to feel strong before they take action, but that's backwards. Strength doesn't come before action, it's built through action. You don't wait until you feel ready because you'll never feel ready. You don't wait until fear disappears because it never will. You don't wait for confidence to show up, you create it by proving to yourself that you can push through. The mind is like a muscle, and just like any muscle, it grows through resistance. Every time you choose strength over weakness, every time you push through fear, every time you refuse to give in to self-doubt, you are training your mind to become stronger. And the stronger your mind gets, the less control weakness has over you. There is a version of you that exists on the other side of weakness. A version that doesn't hesitate, doesn't overthink, doesn't make excuses. That version is built through discipline, through mental toughness, through relentless action. But it will never exist if you keep allowing weak thoughts to run your mind. Everything starts here, in the way you think, in the words you tell yourself every day. If you let weakness win in your mind, it will win in your life. If you take control of your thoughts, you take control of your future. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is not something to avoid, to run from, to numb with distractions and excuses. Pain is fuel. Pain is the fire that forges strength, the pressure that forces growth, the resistance that builds power. But most people don't see it that way. They see pain as something unfair, something that life throws at them to break them down. They act like pain is an attack, a punishment, a reason to stop pushing forward. That mindset is the difference between those who stay weak and those who rise. Because the truth is, pain is neutral. It's not good or bad. It's not there to break you or to help you. Pain is just a force. And what it does to you depends entirely on how you use it. Most people use pain as an excuse. They let it become the reason they stop trying, the reason they give up, the reason they settle for less than they're capable of. They take pain as proof that they're not meant for more. They go through heartbreak and decide love isn't worth it. They lose money and convince themselves they'll never be financially free. They fail at something and start believing they'll never succeed. Instead of using pain to push themselves, they use it to justify quitting. They let it weaken them instead of harden them. And the more they do this, the easier it becomes. Every time they let pain win, they reinforce the habit of running from discomfort, of avoiding challenges, of staying small. And that habit becomes who they are. But the ones who rise, they flip the script. They take pain and turn it into power. They don't run from it, they run toward it. They don't avoid struggle, they embrace it. Because they understand something most people don't: pain is the price of greatness. You don't get strength without struggle. You don't get wisdom without hardship. You don't build character by staying comfortable. The people who become unstoppable are the ones who use their pain as a weapon. They take every loss, every setback, every heartbreak, and they turn it into motivation. They refuse to let pain break them, they use it to build something even stronger. Think about it. Every success story you've ever heard, every person who has achieved something incredible, they all have one thing in common. They went through hell, and they didn't quit. They used their pain as fuel. They took their struggles and let them sharpen their focus, increase their hunger, amplify their drive. Because pain has energy, it has weight, it has intensity. And you can either let that energy crush you, or you can harness it and let it push you forward. The difference is a decision. Most people don't realize how much power is hidden inside their pain. They think their suffering is something that holds them back. But the truth is, it's the very thing that can propel them forward. The strongest people aren't the ones who had it easy, they're the ones who turned their hardest moments into their greatest strengths. They took the betrayals, the failures, the disappointments, and they turned them into fuel. Every sleepless night, every time they felt like breaking, every moment of doubt, they used it. They didn't just survive it, they built something from it. They didn't just endure it, they let it make them unstoppable. The way you handle pain is a choice. You can let it control you, or you can take control of it. You can let it turn you into a victim, or you can use it to become a warrior. Pain will come no matter what. Struggle will show up whether you're ready or not. You can't escape it. You can't avoid it. You can't run from it forever. The only thing you can do is decide what you're going to do with it. Most people waste their pain. They let it consume them, weaken them, destroy their confidence. But the ones who succeed are the ones who take that same pain and transform it into something greater. The truth is, pain is the ultimate teacher. It shows you what you're made of, heals the gaps in your mindset, the flaws in your discipline, the weaknesses in your character. It tests you in ways nothing else can. And if you pay attention, if you stop resisting it and start learning from it, pain will show you exactly what you need to do to level up. Every challenge, every hardship, every struggle, it's all an opportunity to grow. But you have to be willing to lean into it. You have to be willing to face it head on instead of shrinking away from it. Most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid pain. And in doing so, they avoid growth. They avoid discomfort, and in doing so, they avoid transformation. They avoid struggle, and in doing so, they avoid their own potential. But the ones who choose to use pain as fuel, they are the ones who rise above the rest. They are the ones who take control of their future. They are the ones who refuse to be broken, no matter what life throws at them. Discipline is the line that separates those who achieve their goals from those who stay stuck in the same cycle of frustration and failure. It is not talent, not motivation, not luck. It is discipline that determines success. The problem is, most people rely on their feelings to dictate their actions. They do things when they feel like it. They wait for motivation to strike before they take action. They let their emotions decide whether or not they show up, whether or not they push themselves, whether or not they do the work. And that's why they stay weak, because feelings are unreliable. Feelings change. One day you're excited, the next day you're exhausted. One day you're committed, the next day you're making excuses. If you let feelings control your actions, you will never be consistent. And without consistency, you will never build anything great. The strongest people, the most successful people, the ones who dominate in their field, do not operate based on how they feel. They operate based on discipline. They don't ask themselves if they feel like working out, they just do it. They don't wait until they're in the mood to take action, they take action regardless. They don't negotiate with themselves, they don't entertain excuses, they don't let their emotions make the decision for them. Because they understand that discipline is what creates results, not fleeting moments of motivation. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's something you either have or you don't. They think it's about willpower, about forcing yourself to do things you hate. But discipline is not about restriction, it's about freedom. It's about taking control of your own mind, your own body, your own future. Because without discipline, you are a slave to your emotions. You are a prisoner of your own weaknesses. You are stuck in a cycle where your short-term feelings control your long-term results. And that is why so many people never reach their full potential. They keep waiting to feel ready. They keep hoping that one day motivation will be enough to push them forward. But motivation fades, and if you don't have discipline, you will fall every single time. Think about all the times you set a goal and never followed through. Think about the moments when you told yourself you would start, and then a few days later you quit. It wasn't because you weren't capable. It wasn't because the goal was impossible. It was because you relied on feelings instead of discipline. You were excited in the beginning, but the moment the excitement wore off, you stopped. And that pattern will repeat over and over again until you make a decision to break it. Discipline is not something you are born with, it is something you build. It is a skill, a muscle, something that grows stronger every time you use it. The first time you push through when you don't feel like it, it's hard. The second time, it's still hard. But over time, it becomes automatic. The more you train yourself to act, despite your emotions, the less control those emotions have over you. And once you reach that point, you become unstoppable. Because while everyone else is stuck in their cycle of starting and stopping, of quitting when it gets hard, of making excuses for why they can't be consistent, you are showing up every single day doing the work whether you feel like it or not. Most people avoid discipline because they think it's painful, but the real pain comes from not having it. The pain of regret, the pain of wasted potential, the pain of looking back at your life and knowing you could have done more, been more, achieved more if only you had been willing to stay committed. That pain is far worse than the temporary discomfort of discipline, because discipline might be uncomfortable in the moment, but it leads to pride, to confidence, to results. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust in your own ability. Every time you push through resistance, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses. And that creates momentum. People think discipline is about doing big things, but it starts with the small things. It's about getting up when your alarm goes off instead of hitting snooze. It's about making the hard choice when no one is watching. It's about doing the right thing even when you don't feel like it. And the more you do that, the more you wire your brain to be disciplined in every area of your life. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you make excuses in the small moments, you will make excuses in the big ones. If you quit when it's uncomfortable, you will quit when it really matters. But if you train yourself to push through, to stay committed, to take action no matter how you feel, you will carry that strength into every challenge, every opportunity, every goal. Everyone wants success, but few are willing to pay the price. And the price is discipline. The price is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. The price is showing up every day, regardless of the circumstances. The price is making a decision that your feelings do not control you, that you are in charge, that you will do whatever it takes to create the life you want. And once you make that decision, everything changes. Your environment is shaping you every single day, whether you realize it or not. The people you surround yourself with, the conversations you engage in, the content you consume, the habits you reinforce, all of it is either making you stronger or keeping you weak. Most people don't understand this. They think they can hang around negative people and stay positive. They think they can fill their minds with distractions and still remain focused. They think they can absorb weakness from their environment and somehow still build strength. But it doesn't work that way. Your environment is either an asset or a liability. It is either lifting you up or pulling you down. It is either conditioning you for greatness or keeping you stuck in mediocrity. Look around at the people in your life. Are they pushing you forward, or are they holding you back? Are they challenging you to grow, or are they keeping you comfortable? Do they inspire you to be better, or do they reinforce your worst habits? Because whether you like it or not, you are becoming like the people you spend the most time with. Their mindset, their beliefs, their standards, they are rubbing off on you every single day. If you are surrounded by people who make excuses, you will start making excuses. If you are surrounded by people who settle for less, you will start settling. If you are surrounded by people who see obstacles as reasons to quit, you will start doing the same. And the worst part is, it happens so gradually that most people don't even notice. They just wake up one day and wonder why they're not making progress, why they feel stuck, why they can't seem to break through. And the answer is simple: they never took control of their environment. It's not just the people, it's everything you expose yourself to. The books you read, the videos you watch, the music you listen to, the conversations you entertain. Every single thing you consume is programming your mind in one direction or another. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, to distractions, to weakness, your mind will absorb it. If you fill your days with mindless entertainment instead of feeding yourself knowledge, your mind will get weaker. If you spend more time consuming nonsense than sharpening your skills, you will never grow. Most people waste hours every day on things that do nothing for them, then wonder why they're not moving forward. They fill their time with distractions, then complain that they have no time for growth. They allow their environment to control them instead of taking control of their environment. The strongest people, the most successful people, the ones who refuse to stay weak, they are relentless about shaping their environment. They cut out negativity without hesitation. They distance themselves from anyone who holds them back. They are ruthless about who and what they allow into their space, because they understand that their success depends on it. They don't entertain weak conversations. They don't waste time with people who drain their energy. They don't allow toxic influences to take root in their minds. They build an environment that forces them to grow, that keeps them sharp, that pushes them to stay strong, even when it gets hard. And because of that, they stay ahead while everyone else falls behind. Some people will hear this and resist it. They will make excuses. They will say, but I've known these people forever. I can't just cut them off. They will say, but I enjoy watching this, listening to that. It's just entertainment. And that is exactly why they stay weak, because they are more committed to their comfort than they are to their growth. They care more about not upsetting others than they do about becoming the strongest version of themselves. They refuse to make the hard choices, so they stay stuck in the same place year after year. But the ones who rise, they don't let those excuses stop them. They make the hard choices. They create boundaries. They take full responsibility for the energy they allow into their lives. It doesn't mean you have to cut off everyone completely. It doesn't mean you can never watch a movie or listen to music. But it does mean you need to be intentional. You need to audit your environment constantly. You need to ask yourself, is this making me stronger or weaker? Is this helping me or hurting me? Is this pushing me forward or keeping me stagnant? And if the answer is not aligned with where you want to go, you need to make a change. Your environment is either working for you or against you. There is no neutral. Every interaction, every habit, every input is either making you better or making you worse. And if you don't take control of it, it will control you. Most people never take the time to actively shape their environment, so their environment shapes them by default. They absorb whatever is around them without question. They accept negativity, distractions, and mediocrity as normal. And that is why they never break through. But the ones who do, the ones who elevate to another level, they do it because they are obsessed with creating an environment that fuels their success. They protect their energy. They choose their influences wisely. They are relentless about removing anything that doesn't serve them. And because of that, they stay ahead while everyone else stays stuck. Action is the great separate. It is the one thing that divides those who talk from those who execute, those who dream from those who achieve, those who wish from those who win. Most people spend their lives thinking about what they want, talking about what they're going to do, planning for a future that never arrives. They get caught in a cycle of hesitation, procrastination, and overthinking. They tell themselves they'll start when they feel ready, when the time is right, when the circumstances are perfect. But that moment never comes. The perfect time is an illusion. Readiness is a lie. And the longer they wait, the more they reinforce the habit of inaction. Action is not about waiting for the right moment. It's about creating the right moment through movement. It's about taking the first step before you have all the answers, before you feel fully prepared, before you know exactly how it will all work out. Because clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. Most people believe they need to have everything figured out before they take action, but that's not how it works. The only way to learn, to grow, to improve is by stepping into the unknown and figuring it out along the way. Every successful person you admire, every high performer, every leader, none of them had a perfect plan in the beginning. They just started. They moved. They adjusted as they went. And because they took action, they built momentum. Momentum is the secret weapon of the unstoppable. When you take action consistently, you create a force that drives you forward, making each step easier than the last. The problem is most people never reach this stage because they never start. They hesitate. They overanalyze. They let doubt creep in. And doubt kills action. The more you hesitate, the harder it becomes to move. The more you think, the more you convince yourself that you're not ready. Every second you spend in inaction strengthens the habit of doing nothing. And that is why so many people stay stuck, because they never generate momentum. Most people operate from a mindset of fear. They are afraid to fail, afraid to make mistakes, afraid to look foolish. So they do nothing. They wait. They hope. But action takers know something different. Failure is not the enemy. Failure is feedback. Every time you take action, you learn. Every time you step forward, you get data, you get experience, you get closer to your goal. Even when you fail, you are still further ahead than the person who never tried. Because the only true failure is doing nothing. The only way to guarantee that you will never succeed is to never start. Execution is the difference between those who achieve and those who don't. It's not intelligence. It's not talent. It's not resources, it's action. The people who win in life are not always the smartest or the most skilled. They are simply the ones who do something. They don't sit around waiting for permission. They don't waste time overthinking every detail. They don't let fear of imperfection stop them from moving forward. They take imperfect action and they adjust as they go. And because of that, they gain experience. They learn what works. They build confidence. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is built through action. Every time you do something, even when you're uncertain, even when you're afraid, you prove to yourself that you are capable. And the more you prove it, the more unstoppable you become. Most people think too much and do too little. They get trapped in analysis paralysis, convincing themselves they need more time, more information, more certainty. But all they really need is to start. The first step is always the hardest, but once you take it, everything changes. The hesitation disappears. The fear loses its grip. The path becomes clearer. Because action creates clarity. Action creates energy. Action creates results. But none of that happens if you don't move. Excuses are the enemy of action. People tell themselves they don't have time. They don't have the right resources. They don't know where to start. But these are just lies they use to justify their inaction. Because the truth is, if something is important enough, you will find a way. If success matters to you, you will make time. If achieving your goal is non-negotiable, you will figure out the details along the way. But that only happens when you take full responsibility for your own actions. No one is coming to push you. No one is going to do the work for you. You either move or you don't. And every day that you wait is a day wasted. The people who dominate in life, in business, in fitness, in relationships, every single one of them got there because they did something. They took risks. They stepped into uncertainty. They moved even when they didn't feel ready. They understood that success is not given, it is earned. And it is earned through consistent, relentless, disciplined action. There is no shortcut. There is no magic formula. There is only the decision to act or the decision to hesitate. And that decision is what separates the weak from the strong. Weakness is a choice, and so is strength. Every moment, you are making that choice whether you realize it or not. You can choose discipline over excuses, action over hesitation, power over weakness. You can choose to take control of your mind, your body, your environment, your future. You can choose to stop waiting, stop wishing, stop hoping for things to change and start making them change. The ones who rise, the ones who dominate, the ones who build unstoppable momentum in their lives are not the ones who have it easy, not the ones who feel motivated every day, not the ones who wait for the perfect moment. They are the ones who make a decision to push forward no matter what, to take full responsibility for their results, to never let weakness dictate their future. And once you make that decision, everything changes.